Hello, modern Canadian living enthusiasts. Welcome back for another one of our videos. We're going to be continuing our hatching journey today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about eggs. So stick around, because we've got lots to cover. Hello again. Thanks for sticking around, following us on this journey and our hatching adventure. So, you've watched our previous videos, you've watched other YouTube videos, you've done your research, hunted around on the internet, social media, you've gone and purchased yourself an incubator. Whether it's new or new to you, you're looking to start the hatching journey. So you got your incubator, you tested it out, check the humidity, check the temperatures, make sure that everything is functioning as it should. And now it's time to start looking at eggs to put in the incubator. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. How to choose your eggs, where to get them, what's available, what's out there. So let's dive on in. So when it comes to placing eggs in an incubator, you first need to have some eggs. And no, these aren't real. These are fake eggs. I'm just using them for demonstration purposes. Don't want to damage any of the real ones that you see behind us. And as you can see, our ladies have been busy. They've been laying a lot of eggs. So we want to put them in the incubator, and that's where you're at too. First step is sourcing the eggs. Like I just said, you can hatch your own out. You can collect your own eggs if they're fertile, and you can put them in the incubator and hatch your own. That's one way to go about getting eggs. There's social media, there are friends and neighbors, there are different barns and farms out there that offer hatching eggs. So I would encourage you all, as always, do your research. First off, find out what breeds you're interested in, what you're looking to hatch out, what will do well in your area. Once you've made that choice, look for those eggs, whether it's on an auction site, on the internet, sort of a friend or neighbor. Look around, see what's out there. Some things to keep in mind is if you're shipping eggs, it's better to do it in the warmer weather and make sure that they're packed and stored correctly, as well as wrapped, and have a safe and damage-free transportation. When it comes to collecting your own eggs and storing them, you want to make sure that you're doing so in the right way. And what we mean by that is there is a top and a bottom to the egg. There's the small side and the bigger side. When you are storing eggs, you will notice that all of ours have the pointy side down, the bigger side up. With the bigger side facing up, this allows the air sac to sit up top, and this just further helps increase your success rate when trying to hatch out eggs. So whether you've collected your own eggs or you've just gone and picked them up and you've received them, make sure that you're keeping them in the right orientation. Don't have the pointy end up, as this will just decrease your hatch rate. Same if you're shipping eggs, make sure that they are being shipped, again, wrapped, protected, but you also want to ensure that they are facing the correct way with the air sac up top. Next, we need to check the eggs that we want to incubate. We got to make sure that there are no cracks, no holes, they're not damaged, that they are in good visual shape. Obviously, none of us have x-ray vision. We can't see what's going on inside the egg, but we need to make sure that visually there are no damages, no cracks, no marks, no anything like that. This, again, helps increase the success rate. Something else we want is clean-ish egg. I say clean-ish eggs because this perfectly clean fake egg right here is not going to happen. It can, and we get lots of clean eggs, as you can see here. No marks on it, very clean. But sometimes you will get eggs that have, well, anything but cleanliness. This one, as you can see, has got some poop on it, got some straw from the nesting boxes. We would want to clean this before putting it in the incubator. When I say clean the egg, when they're going into the incubator, don't use water. First off, we only use warm water to wash eggs, never anything else. But you don't want to use any water on an egg like this that's going to be going into your incubator. What you would want to do is take a paper towel, a dry cloth, something with a little bit of a not too rough surface, but just enough so that you can wipe some of that off. It may not be perfectly clean, and that's okay, but you don't want to use any water or anything liquid because that will take off the protective bloom coating, which will allow bacteria and other things we don't want to get into the egg and mess with the development of our chick. So get your eggs as clean as possible. Once they're clean, you check them, there's no cracks, there's no damages. You've had them sitting upside down, well, the right way, I should say, with the air sac up, the bigger end up, for a couple of days. Let them acclimate to the inside temperatures, especially if you're collecting the eggs or shipping them in winter. You're going to be ready to place them in the incubator. Once your incubator is set up, depending on the style of your incubator, they may lay down and they may be rolling around. They may sit in the little trays and get tilted back and forth. They may lie on their side and get rolled in this type of motion. Take your eggs, place them carefully in the incubator, and most importantly, mark your calendars. You don't want to forget to do that. When we're going through this hatching journey, we need to mark the calendars when we're starting. We need to count out for when we need to candle, and we need to count out for when we need to stop the eggs from turning and let them get into their final resting position prior to hatching. All things that need to be done when we're going to hatch eggs and when we have them in an incubator. An important thing to consider when checking your eggs is the shape of the eggs. Every hen lays eggs that are a little bit different in shape and size, but they're standard for that specific hen. An example of something like that would be this one here. So this is one of our eggs from socks. They're pretty much always this shape, this size, this color. If we were to see something different from socks, say a pointier egg, one with a deformity of the shell, big bumps, like not the calcium buildup, but ridges or swirls, those are eggs we wouldn't want to select for incubation. Statistically speaking, they have a lower success rate. And again, this is all about numbers, right? It's all a numbers. When we have small eggs, so this is from our hen Eclipse, she lays smaller eggs. Always has, this is just her eggs. But again, we want to make sure that the egg that we're going to put in the incubator from this hen matches the rest of hers. There's consistency, there's no abnormalities, there's no different size or shape. If an egg is too big, it may not hatch. Double yolkers, as we call them, or even extremely rare triple yolkers, their success rates of survivability for one or even both of the chicks is like less than 5%. So if you have an oversized egg that is not normally from that hen, we wouldn't recommend trying to incubate it. You're most likely just wasting your time and effort. When it comes to some of our other hens, they lay pointier eggs, like our twins Tweedledee and Tweedledum. While ones like, where is Muffin? Muffin lays a rounder egg. So if Muffin were to lay an egg that was pointy like Tweedledee or Tweedledum's egg, we wouldn't incubate that egg for Muffin because it's not in her standard. We want to make sure that we're using the eggs that are consistent with that hen, again, just to help with the numbers game. Eggs we want to avoid, like I said, are the big ones and the little ones, like this fairy egg right here. So this little egg is what we call a fairy egg. It's a tiny little egg that one of our hens laid, and unfortunately, that's the size it should be. This does happen every now and then, especially with younger hens, but this isn't a viable egg for incubating. It has to be within the normal range, and this is clearly not in the normal range for this hen or any of our hens. Most hens, actually. That's a really, really small egg. So you want to look at all these factors when choosing your eggs. Make sure that they're stored appropriately. Have them cleaned, but like I said, dry clean them. Don't use any water or any other liquids, especially any chemicals or anything like that. They will destroy the eggs, make them unusable, and they can poison the chicks if they do actually succeed somehow and hatch out. It will just be a poor experience and a poor quality of life for them. You can see that our eggs here, there's quite a few of them, and we store them. Hatching eggs are viable in a controlled environment like we are here inside our house for about a week, about 7 to 10 days. After that point, you either need to refrigerate them or they need to go in an incubator. Your rates will just start to decrease. And it being a numbers game, we want the bigger numbers, right? We want the higher success rate. So make sure you're not keeping your eggs that you're going to be hatching for any more than a week. If you aren't planning to incubate them right away, find somebody who would like to purchase them or give them to them so that they can incubate them, or put them in your fridge. If it's not going to be used for incubation, put them straight away in the fridge and just stop the process that could occur while they start out here, because it is possible that while they're sitting here, they can start to prepare. And when we hatch them out, well, not hatch them out, when we crack them open, I should say, to make a meal, if it's been more than 7 to 10 days, you may see some development marks. I'll leave it at that, from the chicks possibly forming inside the egg. So just things to keep in mind when you're going down this hatching journey. Some things to keep in mind when incubating eggs is at one point you are going to want to candle the eggs, and that involves putting a light underneath, see what the development of the chick is inside the egg. This doesn't have to be done, but it's a good way to remove any that aren't developing, get that space back, and avoid any possible egg explosions or just stinkiness that you may have to deal with later if the egg goes sour. Like I was saying though, not all eggs are equal. Some are a little bit harder to handle. So a pink egg, like one from Tweedledee right here, this is easier to handle. The light tends to shine through the egg. We can get a good idea of what's going on. When it comes to blue eggs are one of the few eggs, actually the only egg out there, that the color actually goes all the way through the egg. If you crack open an egg, I'm sure you've noticed that the color on the outside may be one. The color on the inside of the eggshell will always be white, unless it's a blue egg. And this is because the pigment is baked into it as it is going through the reproductive tract of the hen versus being deposited on it later on in the reproductive tract of the hen. And this causes blue eggs to be a little bit harder to handle. In fact, some of our blue eggs, the light doesn't go through at all. We are unable to see the inside, so unfortunately, we just roll the dice when we put them in the incubator, and what hatches, hatches. The same can be said for copper Moran eggs, or darker eggs. You can see this is more on the darker brown side. Sometimes they can get even more speckled, a little bit lighter. Depends on the hen, depends on the color of egg that hen's laying at the time. But copper Moran eggs and darker eggs like this one here are also harder to see into. You may not be able to handle them. If you're hatching eggs like these, keep that in mind. If you have to skip the candling process and do like we do for some of our blue eggs and just roll the dice, it's just a gamble, right? Get to wait a little longer in suspense and keep those fingers crossed that they all hatch out. So again, just more things to consider when you're looking at eggs to hatch. Some of them you may get to see the full part of the journey. Others, the shell may be too dark and you may not be able to handle them. But all hatching eggs will need to be stopped from turning on the 18th day, and the last few days up until the 21st day, they need to be kept stable and in the hatching position so that the chicks can make sure that they come out right with no issues. So with some research, some time, patience, and a little luck, you can take one of these and turn it into a chick, or many chicks, depending on how many your partner lets you have, and how many you can get away with without them actually making you sleep on the couch or outside with the chickens. Got to keep that in mind. Spousal approval, right? They're cute when they're this size, but they can grow fast and they need love and attention and care to go with it. So if this is what you're into and this is the hatching journey that you're on, good luck. Make sure that you do everything in your power to set yourself up for success. And if all of your eggs don't hatch, don't worry. Don't get frustrated. Nature has a way of doing things. Sometimes the eggs aren't fertile. Sometimes something can happen along the development road. So don't stress out. Get some more eggs. Start again. Again, like you said in our previous videos when we talked about incubators, just because you put 12 eggs in doesn't mean you're going to get 12 little chicks out. You could get as few as 2 or 3, depending on how the eggs were cared for, how they've been stored, how they've been handled, up to the hatching. So from all of us at the Modern Canadian Living Farm, good luck on your hatching journey. Marla says, come back, like, subscribe, turn on those YouTube notifications, follow us on Facebook, or she's going to fly away and come find you. Until next time, everyone, take care.